Hey everyone, welcome to the channel Chess Professor. Today I will be showing you an rare and easy counter against the Stafford Gambit. The Stafford Gambit comes after e4, e5, knight f3. Now you think that your opponent would play knight to c6, but instead your opponent can play knight to f6, which is the Petrov defense. You capture this pawn on e5, and after that your opponent moves knight to c6. This is known as the Stafford Gambit. Now you would usually capture, and after this there are many nasty traps. One of the most common traps is to play d3, bishop to c5. Then you pin this knight with the queen. Your opponent sacrifices the queen. You capture, and then this leads to an stunning bishop checkmate on the eighth move. So to avoid all these nasty traps here, instead of capturing this knight, you can play d4 and you'll immediately gain 100 elo. Not now, but after you learn this video on how to mm, counter the Stafford Gambit. So now the two most common moves are to capture this on e4 or to capture the knight on e5. Let me just mark them. So I will be showing you those variations, and also I will show you one extra variation, which is the which is the variation after playing queen after your opponent plays queen to e7, which is even recommended by Stockfish. So starting with this move, knight takes on e4. Now after that you can just simply recapture or just move your knight back, but you can also play queen to e2. After this knight has nowhere to go. For example, if your opponent retreats the knight, you can go for this easy easy capture on c6. So now what is happening? This king of black is on check, as shown in the blue arrow, and this queen is also on attack, as shown with the red arrow. But even if the queen moves to defend block, you can just capture with the knight, and now you have an easy free queen. And even if your opponent thinks that she can play knight takes on e5, you just play queen takes on e4, and now what happens? This is an pin on the knight, as shown in the blue arrow, and also this knight is attacked, as shown by the pawn in the red arrow. So now there is no way to defend this knight, and now you will just get a free knight and win the game. So here, let's suppose your opponent just played this move, knight takes on e5. You capture, your opponent also captures. Now the material balance is equal. So now according to Stockfish, you have to play knight to e2. But but there is a much trickier move, which is bishop to c4. So bishop to c4 is a very tricky move. Why? Because after any natural developing move of black, you can sacrifice your bishop, and the moment your opponent captures, see, this is an this is an fork on these two pieces, on the knight king and the knight. The king retreats and you capture the knight and end up with an extra pawn. Now let's suppose your opponent knows what to do after this and plays queen to e7. Now, even after this, instead of retreating or going for some traps after capturing this knight, you can just simply play knight to c3, which is a natural development move. If your opponent captures, you recapture, and now your opponent captures with the queen. Now, even though the material balance is equal, but because the queen is now early into the board, you can just simply gain tempos by playing some moves. Now, after this, even if your queen retreats or goes somewhere, what can you do? You can play this move, pawn to e5. Now, what is happening? Your opponent's knight can't go anywhere because of the queen and the knight and also the queen, because of the queen and the knight. So instead, your opponent can also go tricky till the last by playing this move queen to a5. After this, after this knight captures on e4 is in threat. Why? Because after that, this knight will be double attacked and also your opponent will win an extra pawn. So you can just easily neutralize this pin by playing bishop to d2. But then your opponent may go for this bishop move, adding even more pressure on the knight. But after this you can play bishop to d3 defending this pawn. After this, any natural move for the opponent, like castling, may be a blunder. Why? Because you can play pawn to e5. Now your opponent again has no good squares to go again like before, but there is one square which is on d5. But even after this, you can just simply capture this knight. Now after this, if your opponent first captures the bishop, you capture, your opponent recaptures, and now you can play this nasty sacrifice, which earns you a free queen. And if your opponent after this move captures with the queen, you can just capture this bishop and get an free bishop. So in either way, you are completely winning in this position even after going with the stockfish. So this is all for today's video. I hope you like this video and I also hope that you learned how to counter such a nasty opening known as the Stafford gambit. Thanks for watching.